See this? I'm listed as a top fan, and I can't understand why Derek won't communicate with me. He communicates with everybody. He says, let's talk about the science. Yes, exactly. 13 global warming misconceptions. Let's see what he has to say. I just did a video on it. I have not watched this. Now, I am going to make my claims and my comments, whether I believe he's right or wrong. He's got 13, so let's go through them. Better yet, let me tell you how I feel about global warming. It is an absolute disaster in the making. And yes, we've had it cold and hot in the past because we've gone through denser places in space. Space is not homogeneous, and everything we go through scrubs. Now, let me give you a quick introduction to what I feel, and then we'll go into Derek. Okay, I'm going to show you another little diagram in a second, but we are on one of these arms of a spiral galaxy, which is the Milky Way. Now, we are coming forward, concussing whatever's in front of us. If we happen to be coming forward here and go into a blank space, that's fabulous. We're not going to get concussed. We're not going to get excited. Every time something pushes against some other particles, they concuss, they get excited, they get heat. That's what every one of these stripes is. These are not interference patterns, these blank spots. Those are push to shove patterns. In other words, these particles are pushing against the white ones. So they get as far away as they can, and they will end up having a blank spot between the arms. And the reason they're folded back this way is because the galaxy is moving this way and it's pushing all the particles ahead of it, which make this fold back. All right, so are we coming into a dense region? Are we coming into a blank region? That determines how much interaction the sun has, and then we, in turn, interact with that interaction. All right, you saw the galaxy. We're being ripped through it. The sun is scrubbing like crazy through whatever it hits. If it's easy stuff, no problem. No big scrub, no geomagnetic storms, no solar winds, no real intense solar winds. There's always going to be something you're going to scrub through, no question whatsoever. However, you're going to get to areas where it's intense, and we could even get huge bombardments of particles. There's no guarantees here, but there is a guarantee that we are scrubbing through something now that is either increasing our temperature because it's something dense we're scrubbing through, or because we've expanded our gaseous envelope so much that it's really, really scrubbing now. And I think that's the case. Just so you can understand, I understand what's going on here in space. That's the moon covering the sun's disk, so we're seeing a solar eclipse. You see that red spot, red spot, red spot? No red spots over here. You see this is coming straight out and straight up. The sun is spinning like this behind the moon. And these fields interact with it, like this makes its own field because it's an intense scrub in the center, which makes it bulge out like this. Well, that makes another field start to show up here, and another one start to show up here, pushing and shoving against each other, pushing and shoving against each other here. This is just trailing off. But these are the intense reactions because the sun is spinning this way and moving that way. And these particles leave and do not come back. Our particles leave and they come right back around and in. Let me show you. All right, before I show you the magnetic fields, this is what causes magnetic fields. The same thing as a motor. You have electrons to electrons. This is saturated with electrons, which are coming from the sun and exist everywhere. It's called the quantum foam. Look it up. Don Lincoln wrote an article on it, the quantum foam. And it goes a long ways away. And he says there's not a single blank space anywhere that doesn't have particles in it. And he's right. These are particles saturated with particles, which we're scrubbing through. This is loosely attached atmosphere, so it swirls and spins and gets really condensed and all kinds of interactions depending upon how much activity the sun is pushing against us. Simple as that. And if we make our gases get huge, which we are, there will be more and more scrub and more interaction, more and more tornadoes and hurricanes and floods and droughts, and the global warming is just off the charts now, and we're going to have an extreme food shortage very soon. I can't see any other situation that can change, other than if we can reduce this expansion gases drastically and quick enough. But I don't see that happening. I don't see it happening. Okay, I believe this is Venus. This was Dylan Carpenter just took these shots with his new phone and sent them to me. He says, "What do you think?" And I said, "Wow." Obviously a dipole. Extreme energy on one side and less on the other. And you see all these little interactions that... All right, out here they can't get away. Now they come back. So there's your poles and there's your electrons going out but coming back. They don't leave like they did I showed you on the sun. That's why these planets and the Earth and so forth absorb those electrons into their nature. And you know, for us, plants literally eat the electrons. They literally eat them. All right, I'm going to leave it right here because I'm doing some best research I can on these field entanglements. They're talking about quantum entanglements. Well, yeah, I would call it that. But these are planetary. These are solar. These are the moon. This is the moon here. And these are the fields interacting with other fields. So I would say they're entangled. You could call it that. But everything is a dipole. You see the black and white? Virtually everything. The moon has no field because the moon is not a spinning disk through particles. It's just held in a grip by the Earth. So it's just moving this way and that way. It's not spinning like everybody else is. So there's no magnetic field produced. This field is an overlay from whatever's behind there, and I'm not sure what it is, but it's a gigantic planet of some sort, I believe. And all of this nonsense here, I have no idea what it is, but this was nothing more than field effects from a new phone. I'm trying to get the information from Dylan about it now. You know, this goes back quite a ways. It took me a long time to try to understand this. You know, I have a lot of other things going too, but now I do understand it. These are all of the push to shove, push to shove, push to shove, and real hard in the beginning, and then it just works its way out until it just can't get away anymore. And that's it right here. And the moon has an effect that's pushing forward, creating a blue zone out here, which is a compact zone. Like an aurora, when we see these auroras, usually it's green and red and so forth. But this is blue out here. Why, I can't exactly say. But it appears that the moon is moving strongly enough, what it's impacting with, to shift this to the blue. And this goes more shifted to the reddish orange color. But the moon doesn't have its own field to speak of. We got a lot of looking to do, and I'm hoping that we'll get looked at. But I see no other way out from the situation we're in right now than this. None. And this is within 30 days, we would know if it works, and in 90 days, we'd be able to use it if it does work. Okay, my friends, I thought Derek would get to the point of the scrub of our atmosphere and the swelling of these combustion gases, but he never did. So I'm not going to go through his 13 predictions. You can watch his video on it. I was going through it, and I went through the whole thing, and all it was he's talking about, you know, what they taught you in school and how these charts and so forth, and sea level rises and probabilities, and you know, he's making sort of a parody of it between him and himself, you know, fighting each other. It was interesting, but it was, I got to be honest with you, it was kind of meaningless, Derek. I need you to address what I am presenting. All right, my friend, I'd love to talk to you. I'd love to debate you on Zoom. We could have a great time. I got a lot of stuff to go over, brother.